In Catalunya, it was the McLarens who were fastest once again, locking out the front row with Hamilton ahead of Van Dorn. Sebastian Vettel wasn't far behind, just under a tenth slower than Hamilton, but with Ricciardo setting an identical time to aarava, but the Brit did it earlier in the session, which means he'll start P4. Aarava's teammate Pierre Gasly was only 20 thousandths slower, but will start P6, and just ahead of the Silver Arrows, Verstappen pipping Wehrlein to P7. The Toro Rosso boys couldn't quite bring the fight to the Mercs this time out due to the lack of downforce, which means they'll start P9 and P11, Giovinazzi once again ahead of Sainz. Rounding out the top 10 is Kevin Magnussen, and this time with his teammate not far behind him, P12 for tomorrow's Spanish Grand Prix.
What's going on, guys? Aarava here. Welcome back to my F1 MyDriver career mode, episode number 10 today for the Spanish Grand Prix. If you did miss the last one of the Hungarian Grand Prix uploaded on Friday, then do go check that out. Well worth checking out because it was another crazy race, just like China was. Both those rounds, absolutely unbelievable results. So well worth checking those two episodes out before you see this one, if you have not, because you may have missed them, uploaded on Monday and Friday. But we're here at the Spanish Grand Prix. We need to bounce back from last race. Obviously, if you're not seeing it yet, you won't know what's happened, but we really do need to bounce back if you have seen that one. And it's going to be a bit of a tricky one because Spain, as you know, is very well known for its tyre wear. So it's looking like probably for us it's going to be a 3-stop because I don't think I can make the 2-stop work. So we're going to go for a set of soft tyres at the beginning, obviously, because we qualified on those tyres. But we're going to then go to the medium tyres, give us a bit more flexibility potentially to maybe convert it into a 2-stop if we can manage it by the end of the race. We'll have to really just feel it out really and see where we are in the pecking order after the first two stints. But we really need to bounce back. We've done the job in qualifying to get us as far up the grid as possible, but the two McLarens still very fast today in qualifying, and so they've locked out the front row. But we find ourselves right next to Sebastian Vettel and ahead of our teammate Pierre Gasly. Obviously, these two are main title rivals at the moment. It's looking like for the championship, so we're just going to try and do the best we can. But I'm going to hand you over now to Justin to take you through the full starting grid, and then we'll get into this.
Let's take a look now at the starting grid for today's Spanish Grand Prix. On pole position, it is Lewis Hamilton once again for the McLaren team, and with his teammate Stoffel Vandoorne starting alongside him as the Woking-based team locked out that front row. Sebastian Vettel will be starting from third position. He's joined on that second row by aarava in the Red Bull. Their teammates will come just behind Daniel Ricciardo, starting ahead of Pierre Gasly in 5th and 6th position on the third row of the grid. In 7th and 8th positions comes these two Mercedes boys, Max Verstappen starting ahead of Pascal Wehrlein, their car seeming a little bit better than the Toro Rosso at this Catalunya circuit. Antonio Giovinazzi will start from 9th position, and he will be joined on that 5th row by Kevin Magnussen in the Renault. Row 6 is also Toro Rosso and Renault, with Carlos Sainz starting ahead of Nico Hülkenberg. Then comes Leclerc and Grosjean in 13th and 14th position. In 15th position comes Schumacher for the Alfa Romeo team. He'll be joined by Nico Rosberg in the Audi team, looking a little bit better in the Spanish Grand Prix here today. Valtteri Bottas for the Williams team will start from 17th position. He'll be joined on that row by Sergei Sirotkin in the Audi. Then comes Newgarden and Stroll for Haas and Williams in 19th and 20th position. And rounding out the grid of 22 drivers, we've got Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon, the Force Indias, bringing up the rear.
So that was your full starting grid, thanks to Justin. Let's get into this. A very crucial race. We need to bounce back. We go to 5 red lights for the Spanish Grand Prix. 5 red lights are out and we're underway, bogging down a tiny bit on second gear and third gear. Vettel gets a good start. He's actually going to try and go down the middle of both McLarens here as we barrel down to turn 1. Is he going to go for it? He just get pinched out by the two McLarens. Van Dorn goes into turn 1, leading the way from Hamilton, then Vettel. Myself in 4th place. Looks like Gasly's got past Ricciardo, who's struggling now and has to fight off Wehrlein. Actually, Wehrlein's got him there, so Wehrlein up into what will be 6th place there, with Verstappen also making a good start. Two McLaren still leading the way, but you can see we're right on the back of Sebastian Vettel now, right up his gearbox. We need to try and get past him, obviously, because he's now ahead of us in the championship. There's a big lockup from Stoffel Vandoorne. That holds us all up and allows me to close up on Vettel, right up his gearbox, move to the inside. Now we've got a great run into the sweeping left and then right up the hill we'll climb. We're still side by side, bit of oversteer for good measure. Vettel's still down the inside. We're going to hang it round the outside in 5th gear. Don't dare lift off too much. Vettel still manages to hang it in up into 3rd place. We got Gasly now fighting me on the right-hand side. He's going to make a pop for it. We haven't got Vettel. We now need to look behind us and defend from our teammate, and we'll keep that position for now. But you can see at the moment, still a 1-2 for McLaren. Van Dorn setting fast up at the Grand Prix, looking good in the Spanish Grand Prix at the moment. And now we've got better things to worry about than Vettel, because Gasly now comes on our right-hand side. Is he going to make a pop down the inside? We're going to try and go around the outside, defend. It will turn to the inside of turn 2, and we'll hang it there. But no, Gasly still got it. Gasly does brilliantly to hang it down the inside of the swooping right-hander, so we're going to have to fend him off, and we're going to have to actually cut back and maybe try it down the inside into the 2nd sector we go. Still defending from Gasly, and all the while Vettel's now getting away from us, but this is also another crucial battle. We can't let Gasly get ahead of us, but for now it looks like he just about has the balls to keep his foot in there, but we're going to have to try and come back at him. DRS now enabled. We'll get good slipstream on our teammate, the Frenchman. So here we go, on to lap 3, down into turn 1, diver down the inside, try and squeeze him out, but again, he's going to do well, so Gasly's feeling very, very feisty here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Obviously wants to protect his lead in the championship that he's got at the moment, but we just managed to hang it down the inside, get the momentum through that right-hander, and now we're back up into 4th place. So a very hectic start to the Grand Prix. Now we can try and get our heads down and catch Vettel. You can see the gap that he's got now to us after that little squabble with our teammate Gasly. But as we move on towards lap 6, this will be as we cross the line. You can see up ahead, Vettel's actually closing up on McLaren, so it looks like he's looking to get a move on here. And it looks like Hamilton's going to try and slipstream Van Dorn. Vettel's going to do the same to both the McLaren cars, so he goes down the inside, side by side with Van Dorn into turn 1, goes round the outside into turn 2, and he's now leading the Spanish Grand Prix. So what a move from Sebastian, great play from him. Double toe effect on the straight, and he's made 2 overtakes in 1 easy move on the straight, and so he's up into the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix. We move on towards lap 7 by the time we cross the line, and it's now time to start thinking about the pit stops potentially. And it looks like Vettel, yes, Vettel's going to come in, Van Dorn comes in, we continue on with Hamilton, obviously, because we're now within DRS of Hamilton. So quite quickly, actually, we're on the back of one of the McLarens. Didn't think it was going to be this easy to get on the back of them, but obviously these 3 were squabbling away. So here we go, a lot of speed, a lot of momentum with the DRS wide open into turn 1. We get that move cleanly done on Hamilton, and now we're leading the Spanish Grand Prix, but obviously probably not in a net first place, as those 2 have made their pit stops just then, Vettel and Van Dorn. But that was a very, very crucial move for Vettel, really, and he really needs to make that pass, especially after, you know, he's been so frustrated with Ferrari. That's going to give him a bit of a booster and confidence for the rest of this race. But anyway, we move on to the next lap, on to the end of lap 7, on towards lap 8 once we cross the line, and we're coming in for our pit stop now. So this will be on for a set of medium tyres. So remember, I said I wasn't really too sure we're going to make the 2-stop work, so for now we're on a 3-stop, but we may convert it to a 2-stop if I feel like we're in a good position. If we're going to hang on to the back of these 2 McLarens and the Ferrari, I think we definitely can maybe consider moving to the 2-stop. If not, then definitely the 3-stop to try something different. But you can see there goes Vettel, still in the lead of this Grand Prix. Van Dorn closely behind in 2nd, and we come out here still in 3rd place. Hamilton nowhere to be seen, actually. He was right behind me in the pit stop phases, so I think he must have had an issue with the pit stop, because he's nowhere to be seen there. And Vettel sets the fast up of the Grand Prix, so the German going very well indeed. So we move on to lap 9. As you can see on the right-hand side, Gasly there coming out of the pit, so we're still ahead of our teammate there. So Gasly went quite a long way on that set of soft tyres. That's 8 laps on a set of softs, whereas Vettel only went 6. And Gasly, actually, you can see on the top left, is on another set of soft tyres. So Gasly looking like he's got some brilliant tyre wear. But if we move on, looking at the head of the train, in P1 at the moment, it's actually Nico Hulkenberg, followed by the Alfa Romeo of Mick Schumacher, and then the 2 Audi Racing GP cars of Sirotkin and Rosberg. So just like China and Hungary, yet again, you can see a lot of the midfield runners, maybe the lower end runners, outside the top 10, who did not have to start on the softest tyre they qualified on, are leading this Grand Prix. So yet again, we've seen this pattern in the last 3 races, that the top runners, you know, the Ferraris, McLarens, us, the Red Bulls, Mercedes, Toro Rossos, we're all kind of getting hampered by being on the softer tyre. But the difference is, it looks like we're a lot closer, especially Vettel, he's a lot closer to these kind of out-of-sync midfield runners than we ever were at China and Hungary. So I don't think there's going to be a repeat like China and Hungary where you see a kind of out there wild kind of race leader. But it definitely is looking like there's a bit of a pattern forming this season right now. A lot of midfield runners really gaining from being on that slower tyre at the start. We're getting back to our immediate battle in the race at the moment as we cross the line towards lap 11. Gasly's going to make a move with DRS on the right-hand side on the soft tyre though, as I mentioned before. So it's maybe kind of expected that he's going to be faster than me because I'm on the mediums, but I need to try and battle him and hold him up a little bit, although it will slow me down a little bit, and it seems like it might be hindering me as a whole to get closer to the front runners like the McLarens and Ferraris. The fact is, at the moment, they're really steaming away, and so my best bet, actually, in terms of the championship, is to try and hold Gasly up and try and finish ahead of Gasly, at least. And it looks like a little bit that Vettel might be out of my reach this weekend, so we need to just think tactically in terms of picking our battles, picking our little fights that we're going to take, because we've still got plenty of races left in this championship, so we need to play it a bit smart. So you can see now, onto lap 12, coming back at Gasly, good pace on that last lap with DRS down the inside now, and we'll get him back up into what will be 9th place. You can see all the while up ahead are all these kind of midfield runners I was talking about. Ocon directly ahead of us on the medium tyres, but we've still got to worry about Gasly as we move on to the very next lap on towards lap 13. He's still there with the DRS. He comes in the mirrors again on the right hand side, but this time also we've got a second car to worry about. Pascal Wehrlein comes out of nowhere, also on the soft tyres as well, so now we've got to try and defend from 2 cars here. So the Mercedes car, at least the Wehrlein, some really decent pace here. I think even Verstappen's doing okay for himself. I think he's up ahead on the medium tyres. I think he started on the mediums potentially, but yeah, the 2 Mercedes cars looking a lot better. They've been steadily improving this season. There are rumours of a huge engine upgrade for the Mercedes Works team for the next race, obviously their home Grand Prix, the German Grand Prix, so we'll have to see, but at the moment they're looking pretty damn punchy, and you can see now as we move on to the end of lap 13 into the 3rd sector, Gasly makes a really aggressive move on Ocon to get past him quite quickly, dispatch him, and that actually puts me in a difficult situation because now I need to try and get rid of Ocon very, very fast, and we have to wait until the 1st sector of lap 14, the next lap, so we actually lost quite a bit of time there. You can see Gasly already gallivanting off into the distance here, so I'm growing impatient. We make the diving move down the inside of Ocon as we go into the 2nd sector. He again then holds up the next car, which is Wehrlein, so you can see how much of a bit of a hindrance these midfield cars are being. We lock up, trying to desperately try and close back up to Gasly as we're losing more and more time to him, so we're slowly kind of losing control of our own race here in stint 2, and now Wehrlein's closing up on the back of him again on soft tyres as we mentioned, so he is going to be faster. This is expected, but we need to try our best to hold on to this position, but it's no use. He's going to have DRS, so he's going to make a pop for it as Gasly then overtakes the next Force India up ahead. Wehrlein makes a move down the inside. We defend well from around the outside, but he's going to keep his nose in there. Side by side we'll go into the swooping right hander. We'll make a tiny bit of contact on the tyre, on the left front tyre to his rear right, still side by side, and we'll keep it side by side into the tight, twisting final corners of Spain. This is brilliant to watch. 2 old former teammates and rivals banging heads here at the Spanish Grand Prix, and we just about get Wehrlein there as we're on the inside line for that last bit of the chicane, and we'll go on and keep 4th place. This will be as we cross the line. You can see in the mini-map a few people making their early pit stops here on lap 16, and for now we're still ahead of Wehrlein. Gasly continues on here, so as we mentioned before, he's got some great tyre wear on those soft tyres, but now we move on to the end of the lap on through the final corner. A lot of oversteer there. That allows Wehrlein to get the slipstream with DRS. He'll come on the left-hand side. You can see in the mirrors there's that turquoise Toro Rosso of Giovinazzi here, obviously last race winner at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Overtakes us up into 5th place. He'll go, and he actually made contact with Wehrlein, I think that is, but now we'll keep our composure, line this up in 5th gear, down to 4th momentarily. You can see the downforce this Red Bull's got compared to the sister team of Toro Rosso because we're able to keep the throttle in, and we'll go down the inside side by side with Giovinazzi here, and this is the exact battle that we didn't have at Hungary because obviously my engine blew up, but this is the battle we could have had at Hungary. We're going to have to have it now at the Spanish Grand Prix, and we go around the outside and keep that position now. We've re-overtaken that position, and now we can try and get a move on and re-overtake Wehrlein in the Spanish Grand Prix. So keeping feisty here as we go on into the last part of lap 17. Gasly's in the pits, Wehrlein goes in the pits. We're going to continue on at the moment, so I didn't want to come in obviously because otherwise we would get held up, so we're sort of forced to go out one more lap, so a little bit annoying there from Gasly, but of course he's the car out in front, so he gets first priority there, much like the Mercedes of real life, you know, between Hamilton and Rosberg. Gasly's the one out ahead, so he gets priority there. So we go up into 1st place once again in the Spanish Grand Prix, but unfortunately you can see how close the likes of Vettel are to us after he's made his pit stop. So Vettel looking very, very strong for the win in the Spanish Grand Prix at the moment, unless someone can upset it like Van Dorn potentially, or even Verstappen, who's looking pretty good in third place there at the moment. So that's quite surprising, actually. So we move on to the end of lap 18. You can see we're in the pit lane at the moment for our second pit stop. This will be just about making that line there, locking up, double lock up. It's fine. We don't care about these tyres anymore. And we're actually going to go on to the hard tyres. So I feel like we can probably take this to the end on hard tyres. And also at the same time, my engineer has been telling me there's a chance of rain. You can see clearly around you on the skies being a lot darker there. So there is some truth into what Jeff has probably been telling me on the radio, that there may be some rain to come. So I think this will be the best bet. And as we come out of the pits, we just get ahead of Wehrlein there. So we've done enough there on the in-lap there to the pit stops to get ahead of Wehrlein on the hard tyre. So good stuff there. And now we can try and close up on Gasly as much as we can. He's still very much within our reach. We can see him there ahead of us on track. But at the same time, Wehrlein's got some great pace in general. We're now on the same set of tyres and he's still got a good pace. So I think the Mercedes car is just performing quite well here at the Spanish Grand Prix. He goes down the inside yet again, and yet again we'll try and hang around outside. This time we have a lot more success, and he doesn't keep it down the inside this time, and we'll comfortably keep that 9th position at the moment. But you can see again we're in 9th position, so again there's a lot of cars out of sync still. Ahead of Gasly is a train of the likes of the Alfa Romeos, the Audis, the Renault, I think, of Hulkenberg still. So there's still quite a lot of mystery in who will actually finish in the whole top 10, because a lot of these guys have actually gained a lot of time by being on the harder tyre. But as we move on to lap 20, Wehrlein again comes with DRS. And at this point, I just pause and think, okay, hang on. Wehrlein's got some great pace now. We're on the same set of tyres, so it really is just genuine pace from him. Why don't I let him go and use him as a bit of a DRS tow, and use a bit of a kind of wily old fox tactics here? Because if he's got a lot of pace, he's going to go fast and catch Gasly. If I can just do enough to hang on to the back of his DRS, and every single time in Sector 1 down the main straight, close up on him with DRS, I can try and use him as a bit of a basically tow and catch up to Gasly myself. So that's exactly what we do. Onto lap 21, you can see we're both catching Gasly, because up on the mini-map you can see just about as we go into turn 1, we are closing up on that little train that Gasly is catching up to, and you can see clearly we're still closing up to Wehrlein. So this is working out actually quite a treat here. So this tactic is working. So slowly, in the next few laps, we'll be hopefully catching up. You can see there is a train there of about, I would say, 4 cars ahead of Gasly. And you can see we're really closing up to Wehrlein. Actually nearly hit the back of him there. So this is working out quite well. So we just continue like this, do enough, because the Red Bull car is faster than the Mercedes in Sector 1 and Sector 2, I feel. But in Sector 3, that's where it's got the legs on me, especially through the final corner. But we just keep on getting DRS through that final corner, we'll be in the money here. And speaking of said money, you can see on towards lap 23, now is the time where I think we can try and re-overtake Wehrlein with DRS and make our own personal charge towards Gasly. You can see he's just there, going through turn 2, behind, I think, Stoffel Van Dorn, who's also being held up here by some of the midfield cars. I think the 2 Audis are in this little train, so really a good opportunity now. We've got the legs, I feel like we've got the pace, we've saved a bit of tyre wear here to now push on and try and close up. You can see through Sector 1, just Sector 1 only, you can see I feel like we're visually a lot closer to Gasly now than we ever have been before. And you can see there is a train, there is an Audi there, and also an Alfa Romeo, so this is the time to push. So we move on now towards the end of lap 25. This will be on towards lap 26. We've been pushing hard now. We're within DRS range of Gasly here, but he's got the legs because he's got DRS off Van Dorn. So we just have to keep it through. Maybe try and do something in Sector 1. They're slowing down though. What's this? Oh, there's an Alfa Romeo. He's gone deep of Schumacher. Schumacher's gone deep into turn 1. That's slowed down the entire train there. And now we can get a good run on Gasly through the swooping right-hander of turn 3. We've got a good run on Gasly in the slipstream. We'll dive it down the inside of our teammate there. Get a move on here, because I really can't waste any time. We need to get a move on, get these moves done as soon as we can. So we've overtaken Gasly. Now we'll try and get on the back of Stoffel Van Dorn. He's also being held up here by Schumacher. We go down the inside, do the switchback line, get a good run, good traction. We've completely overtaken him and out-tractioned the McLaren there. So as the rain starts to fall down, actually, you can maybe see a few spots of rain here. Van Dorn struggling with traction. We go through, climb up the hill on the swooping right-hander, onto the DRS straight, and we'll close up on Schumacher now in the slipstream. We're going to have to go for it. We're going to make a diving move, catch him napping down the inside, hit the apex. You can see a few spots of rain on our chassis and on the top of your screen, and now we're up in that position. We're overtaking the Alfa Romeo, and the Alfa Romeo will continue to slow down Van Dorn and Gasly. So we are doing wonderful stuff here. 2 overtakes in 1 lap. Can we try and get one of the Audi cars as we come through the final chicane? It's Rosberg, then Sorokin there. So surprising. Rosberg comes in finally, so I don't think these 2 Audis are really there for position. If they are, it's going to be bloody surprising indeed to see 2 Audis in the top 5. But we move on to lap 27 with DRS. We'll still try and close up on Sorokin. We can continue on with our POV right here because we can try and catch him in this first sector. Because remember, the Audi car isn't meant to be here. It's got very, very poor downforce. Not an amazing engine. The Audi engine still needs some work. So we're going to continue on with our POV right now because we can catch up to him in the next few corners here. And we could get up into P3, which would be brilliant. Trying to get into the podium positions and then try and catch up to whoever's in P2, which I think might be one of the Renaults. But at the moment, it's still Sebastian Vettel leading the way. And it begs the question, where on earth is the likes of Hamilton and Ricciardo? They've dropped off the face of the planet here in this race. But we get good traction on the rush in there, down the inside, into the high-speed chicane. And we've overtaken him good, sliding through the exit of that corner for good measure. And we're up into 3rd place. And now we can try and get back onto the back of Nico Hulkenberg. But we're going to pause this charging drive for a second just to watch what happened with Schumacher. So here he goes, overtakes one of the Audi cars into turn 1. He just has a huge lock-up on the left front tyre. And that's literally just it. That's what slows him down, holds up the 2 Audis, and indeed behind him the McLaren of Van Dorn and Gasly. So all just, all of those moves started from just a simple lock-up from Schumacher there. Obviously, the track's getting a little bit damp at this point. You can see on the chassis, especially if you go on board later on with the McLaren, you can see the drops of rain really quite clearly on the McLaren car, and also here on the Alfa Romeo, you can see there on Schumacher. Wow, quite a lot of drops of rain on Schumacher's car there. But you can see the damp conditions just allowed Schumacher to make that mistake, and that really worked out for us and benefited us there. And you can see there is confirmation. Hulkenberg in P2, doing quite well at the moment, you must say. If he finishes up in P2, obviously we'll be hoping to spoil his party. But there is the German Sebastian Vettel still leading the way. So he's had some brilliant pace here. So all for yet again. We mentioned this before, back in Monaco and also at Hungary in the last race. But yet again, 2 McLarens locked out the front row. Hamilton's nowhere to be seen, and Van Dorn there struggling. I honestly just don't know what's wrong with this McLaren car. It's almost like McLaren, they have the opposite problem that I had back in season, if you remember season 2 of MyDriver, back in the Mercedes car. My first season in Mercedes, if you remember, the Mercedes car then was always such a dog in qualifying, but great in the race. Seems like the opposite for McLaren here. Like, they're great in qualifying, but just absolutely crap in the race. So quite a peculiar problem to have, really. So it looks like maybe on heavier fuel, maybe the car's bogging down, bucking like a Bronco, maybe like they had in 2013 potentially with Perez and Button. I'm really not too sure, but the McLaren's really disappointing yet again after locking out the front row. But you can see we pit onto the intermediate tyres there. We made a bit of a gamble, went 1 lap earlier than a lot of people, and you can see already on lap 30 with 3 laps to go, 4 laps to go including this one, we're going down the inside of Perez. Very, very easy move, and we're already catching up to Ricciardo, who appears to be struggling down here in P9. So this was the correct decision for us, I feel, going 1 lap earlier on the intermediates than everyone else, and we've got some great grip. So that's a great strategy call from myself and the team as well, doing quite well to just try and help me out, try and catch up to Hulkenberg, and potentially, you never know, maybe Vettel. If Vettel made the same mistake, potentially we could catch him, but doing a lovely little Gymkhana drift there through the swooping hairpin right-hander, and we've really closed up onto Ricciardo, but surely he's going to come in now. He can't continue on. He's on the hard tyres, really going quite slowly there. You can see the puddles forming on the exit of that chicane, and yet he does come in. So now, with 3 laps to go as we cross the line, again, opposite lock through the final corner, skating our way across the line, and we're up into a P9, P7, climbing up the order, up into P4 this will be, and now we can try and close up on Hulkenberg up ahead. You can see he is on the intermediates, and there he is actually. We're actually so close. We've actually gained so much time there by going 1 lap earlier on the intermediate. So he goes slowly. We're going to try and hang it around the outside, then we'll cut back to the inside line, do the switch back, nice little switch there, get the good grip, get the momentum down the inside, and we'll get up into P3, and we'll go down the inside, go a little bit wide there, but just feed the throttle through, nice and tiptoeing around. You can see Verstappen is in P2, still on the mediums. What on earth is Verstappen doing? He's still on mediums, so I know Verstappen's good, and I know he thinks he's good as well in himself, but I don't think he can continue on medium tyres, surely not. So we move on to lap 31, still in 3rd place through the final corner, getting a huge snap of opposite lock there. So Hulkenberg would actually close up on us, and the Renault car, remember, low drag car, the Renault, so he's going to have good straight line speed. Finally, Verstappen comes to its senses and comes in for the intermediate tires. But here comes Hulkenberg down around the outside into turn 1, but we'll keep it nice and easy, squeeze him out there. Obviously, he may have the speed in a straight line, but we've got the downforce there, and that's going to help us out ultimately on these intermediate conditions. And we move on to the end of lap 32, on towards the final lap of the Grand Prix. Yet again, struggling on the rear ends, on the traction, just getting a bit too eager on the throttle. And once more, Hulkenberg will come on left-hand side with obviously no DRS, just pure slipstream there of the Renault car. But yet again, we'll go down the inside, have the downforce, hit the apex into turn 1, and we'll get back up into second place. And this is actually how things are going to end, because we can see now through the final corner on the last lap of the Grand Prix, Sebastian Vettel is going to come through to win the Spanish Grand Prix and get back on the top step of the podium. He's had so much misery in the last 2 rounds, an engine blow up at China, just a bad race all round, crashing with me last time out at Hungary. And now he's come back and, made the comeback, and he's up into P1. But, ourselves, we're up into P2 as well. So both of us, having poor races in the last 2 rounds, have bounced back here. I would have liked to have finished ahead of him, obviously, but he just had, honestly, just too much pace today. That Ferrari car still is, as we mentioned at the end of the last race at Hungary, that Ferrari car is probably still the net overall best car. Of course, McLaren are there in qualifying, but not quite in the race. So overall, it's still got the best car, but we've done a great job to come back there for P2. So that'll be good enough to get some good points. Obviously, we'll lose points to Vettel, but we'll gain some on Gasly, who only finishes up in P4, unable to get that podium. And Hulkenberg does brilliantly to get P3. But you can see, really, for me, the story of top 10 is Sorokin getting a great P8 there for Audi. Really good job for him. And onto Hamilton, yet again, really struggling there. It's never both the McLaren, just one of them. Hamilton down there in the order. Van Dorn does an okay, respectable job. But yet again, as we mentioned, McLaren just not doing the job in the race that they do in qualifying. So it's probably turning out to be a season to write off from McLaren, and probably, I would say, probably best for them to focus on next season, you would say. But anyway, moving on to the championship, you can see now Sebastian Vettel moves into first place of the championship, actually level on points with Gasly, but obviously he gets P1 for finishing P1 in the last race that we just did. So Vettel in P1, Gasly P2 on level points. We're 7 points behind in third place, Ricciardo in fourth, Van Dorn in fifth, Giovinazzi still hangs on in sixth place, Hamilton moves down to 7th there. So actually, after all that has done so far in this season, with Hamilton being better than Van Dorn so far, now Hamilton slipped behind and is down to P7. Verstappen's actually closing up on him, and Verline climbs up into P10 there with 52 points, and also Hulkenberg, for the first time in a while, climbs up into the top 12 for that third place with 33 points. But the championship is still all up for grabs. You can see it's looking like the pattern is looking like it's the top 3 there, Vettel, Gasly and myself for the championship, but you just never know what might happen. Ricciardo's still not too far away, and Van Dorn, but probably looking at the past performances of Ricciardo and the 2 McLarens, you probably wouldn't say so. But the next one is the German Grand Prix. There have been some big rumours in the paddock that Mercedes are going to be bringing a big upgrade there for all their engines. So you could see a lot of the Mercedes cars doing quite well there at Germany. And also there are rumours that Ferrari are finally going to bring a bit of an update there, after obviously Vettel's been very angry with the Scuderia, and he's shown that he can still win the race in a little bit of a mediocre car compared to McLaren. So they'll be hoping for some good upgrades, and I'm hoping that my team, Red Bull, can bring some upgrades as well. We've had to have a bit of a debrief back at the factory, talk about where we're going with this car, because if the Toro Rosso can win 2 races in a row with a bit of a low drag setup, we're having to rethink our strategy in terms of what we go for, because usually the history has been Red Bull equals downforce. We have to think about maybe Red Bull equaling nice kind of good efficiency instead, because that's what the Toro Rossos have. And, well, they've won the same amount of Grand Prix as we have, because obviously Gasly's won 2, the 2 Toro Rossos won one apiece. So, there you go. But anyway, guys, hope you have enjoyed that episode. Smash that like button if you did. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. Once again, guys, thank you so much for the support on MyDriver. It really is a pleasure to make these episodes every single week. So thank you very much for continuing to watch it and continuing to support it. I absolutely love reading through the comments every single day when the video gets uploaded. So thank you so much for that. I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye.